Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danny Boy. Today on the program, EFCC releases Innoson boss, Innoson Chukuma, on bail. Senate tells federal government not to sell national monuments. And later on the program, herdsmen shoot at Nigerian Air Force jet in Adamawa State. I will be hanging out with Stella Sawyer, Wale Adeoye, and Wale Adedayo. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We're even, right?
Yes, sir. It's actually balanced.
Yeah, so how do we solve that?
Wale Adeoye, Wale Adedayo.
So the Journalist Hangout starts now. There is still a thick cloud of confusion hovering over the arrest of Innoson Motors boss, Innoson Chukuma. On Tuesday, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission said he was arrested for jumping an administrative bail and rebuffing its invitations. But a few hours later, the spokesman of Innoson Group, Colonel Osigwe, said the industrialist was arrested on false claims. He challenged the EFCC to produce evidence to support the arrest. On Wednesday, the anti-graft agency released the businessman on bail, but with a surprising twist. It said he was arrested for fraud and forgery. In 24 hours, the agency gave 2 reasons for arresting one suspect. This flip-flopping enraged many. The Senate is angry. The Deputy Senate President, Ike Kweremadu, describes the Commission's action as a national disgrace. He says the agency has no business interfering in a civil matter. Gentlemen, his spokesman came out to say that the EFCC did not come out clear on why his boss was arrested. That's Innoson Chukuma. Now, what exactly is going on? I'll start with you, Wale.
I think the EFCC has its own challenges. But on this matter between the Innoson boss and GT Bank, thank God there is an NIPR person here. But as a student of public relations, I just feel that GT Bank failed 100% in its public relations duty. Whoever is the head of their public relations department should just be sacked or deployed to another place. I mean, for about 24, 48 hours after the thing started, nothing, zero from GT Bank. And it's as if it's only Innoson that is just there. But if you go through it, as a journalist, what I try to do, it is not what you bring out. Whatever you bring out for me is like a background thing. I would like to look at it. I'd like to interview what you have brought out. Fine, there's a civil matter there, but there are also allegations of criminality there, which predates whatever civil matter Innoson is trying to push. You take a loan from a bank, right? Like you want to import things and so on, the documents you want to use to import everything is to the bank. Before you clear those things, the bank must be aware, so that you don't clear and sell those things. The bank was not aware you were going to clear, you cleared. Meanwhile, the original documents were still with the bank and all those things. GTB didn't push out all those facts. I got that from other sources here and there on social media and so on. So that's why I said GTB failed 100%. So because a lot of people are angry with EFCC, a lot of people don't have positive things to say about our law enforcement agencies. So each time they act, it's like they are doing the...
But they came up with 2 statements, like we rightly mentioned.
That's what I'm saying. The thing is, whatever they came up with didn't just start today. Whatever matter the innocent guy has did not start today. It's been there for some time. But like I said, the major problem here is GT Bank itself. It did not push his own case. Maybe because it felt maybe it doesn't want to hurt its customer, whatever. But at the end of the day, its reputation has suffered. I mean, within not just Nigeria, but globally as well. They may not realize the fact. But the fact is that I don't have any problem with EFCC. But the Deputy Senate President talking about the thing being national disgrace and so on, for God's sake, is totally wrong. Right. Because when we were talking about, they're trying to introduce some ethnic dimension into it and so on.
We'll come to the ethnic dimensions being introduced.
It shouldn't have anything to do with it at
let's
all.
bring in Stella now. She has been smiling.
Well, he talked about the public relations aspect, and I want to take it from there. I think we really don't have to knock GTB so hard. I want to believe that the bank is trying to be civil. This is a case that is in court, and they understand the rule of law. And I also want to say that maybe the bank still, I mean, of course, Innoson is their customer. And you really have to respect your customer, whatever happens. And, I mean, they talked about the cases. I mean, he came to them, he got loan from them, and the bank is saying there are some goods that were cleared, you know, so many stories, different sides. But I want to look at it from the fact that GTB just trying to play it, safe. Cool. They're trying to make sure that they don't, rock the boat. You don't know how the tide will, run. You don't know what will happen after the court case.
But there should be
so
a statement.
They've been talking. I think there are 2 statements from the bank, but they are not as, should I say, strong as, I mean, fine, they have the statements, stating what the case is and what steps they have taken as in involving the courts. But now, the innocent side, they are not just waiting for the courts to decide the case. They're out on the social media every day. As I was coming all through the day, tuning to any station, everybody's talking about the case. Now, it's getting so messier because people are not just looking at the facts of 2 entities, having a business transaction. People are bringing in so many diversions, and you begin to wonder, this is not, a business that's just, it's been on, the case had been on for years. I mean, 2009, 2012, we're talking about how many years ago, and now it looks as if there's more to it. So, well, we're all waiting. I'm asking the question too, what's going on?
Of course, we all are wondering what's going on because there is another argument saying that Innoson Group or the Motors is a limited liability company, and then you are going for the person and not the company. It is the company can be sued.
Yes,
but then you are going for the person.
He represents the company because he's the owner of the company. If a company, there's this issue that there's a fraudulent transaction. Definitely, they're going to arrest the person who heads the company. And that is what
is going on. Yeah. All right, Wally, what really is this about? Because some, like the case is in court. Yeah. Why EFCC interference?
Well, I think there are so many sides to this issue, and we have to take each side on its own merit. The first thing we need to get very clear is that there is nobody that is above the law.
Definitely.
Whether you are a cobbler, whether you are CEO, whether you are whoever you are, the law says that we are all equal. Yeah. So the EFCC has not done anything wrong in going after a particular person, irrespective of his social status. And I also think there's also an interesting, aspect. The EFCC consistently has been going after politicians. This is one of those few cases where the EFCC is now spreading the drag into the private sector. And I think there's a lot of corruption going on there. But having said that, I think in this particular case, it is peculiar, it is unique, in the sense that you are dealing with perhaps one of the most outstanding indigenous companies in Nigeria. Okay. Now, when you are dealing with this kind of case, you need to look at the different implications.
Of course.
And of course, when you take a look at the processes that was adopted by the FCC, there is this culture of arbitrary arrest and detention. That once you are a suspect, the next thing the FCC will do is to arrest you, and then you must be detained. So it speaks of deliberate humiliation, trying to show some kind of force that we are empowered, then we can intimidate you.
Is that what is now bringing in the regionalization or the tribalism that people are talking about, that certain tribes are?
Well, the tribal thing is a natural weakness that, some people are trying to exploit. Because Innoson must have had a reason why he decided to bank with GTB in the first place. He decided to go and bank with it. And of course, I know there are a lot of people who are not Yoruba people who are working with GTB in the southeast. There are also a lot of people who are Yoruba people who are working with other banks owned by Igbo people. So I think there is just a third force that is trying to, explore the ethnic angle. I don't think there's any ethnic angle into this issue. And even when you look at GTB, there are a lot of people who have interests, who are businessmen, who are not necessarily from this part of the country. I think the EFCC didn't handle this case very well. You can invite people, you can conduct your investigation by visiting people. It's not every time you go in a gangsterist way and then with guns and everything, storm their house. Look at FBI. Sometimes they come to your house, 2 people will come and extract information. It's not every time, because there is a lot of collateral damages in your community. When you are arrested, you are detained, people have the impression that you are a criminal, even when a criminal case has not been established by the law court against you. So, and it also has a lot of damages on the business image, the reputation of that company, which you cannot quantify. So the FCC needs to be very diligent, needs to be very careful, not to keep on embarrassing people and try to smear people's image. I think that's something that the FCC needs to really, take a look at. I
come back to you, Stella. He mentioned something that this is an indigenous company, and so the way issues are handled here has to be very careful. Could that be why the Senate is saying that this is somewhat a shame?
I actually was not really happy with the stand of the Deputy Senate President. If you look at the way he spoke, you will see that anger in him, the fact that I'm actually fighting for my brother, my townsman. That was wrong.
But he wasn't the only one that.
Yeah, he was. Apparently too, it's also from the south. I looked at well, of course, some people have been saying they actually represent a particular area. That's why they see it as something they need to react to. But as a Senate Deputy President, well, for me, I would just state the case. We heard that this is happening. Can we look at it? Can we call for an investigation? Not coming out to condemn outrightly what EFCC had done, and that the fact that they actually targeted Innoson because it's from the east, and because of that, so many comments have been going around. The fact that people have been calling that they should start withdrawing their their accounts from GT Bank, and this is suddenly we're now realizing that GT Bank is a Southwest bank, and maybe Diamond Bank, and they now realize that you have people from a particular ethnic zone, running the bank. I think I'm not comfortable with that.
But
I'm not.
From the arguments might not hold water like you might seem, but for Nigerians out there who are similarly reacting on social media, if you go on social media, you get different reactions, especially ethnicity, coming up strong in this whole issue. But that, as salient as it is, don't you think could wield the big stick to cause serious issues?
No. Ethnicity should not come into this at all. And I think for the Deputy Senate President to be talking that kind of crap, it's bullshit. When people are saying people should withdraw their money from GTB and so on, does it mean that all Igbos in Lagos, they have to withdraw and go back home? Are they taking themselves out of the Southwest? Are they living in Badon? Are they living in Abeokuta? Are they living in Japan? It doesn't make sense at all. 2 people have businesses. The Innocent guy, there is Fidelity. There is, there are other banks owned by Igbos. He didn't go there for loan. He went to GTB for loan, and GTB obliged him the loan. For God's sake, he's been banking there for years. And they have a disagreement. Well, you don't introduce ethnicity into it. But for those who are talking about EFCC coming after the guy because he's Igbo and so on, they may have 1 or 2 things. But for God's sake, it has nothing to do with the Southwest. Maina and Grass Cutter and the rest of them in the villa, for long, I don't know if he has interrogated them or arrested them or went to their houses to bust into them. In Port Harcourt the other time, I think it was EFCC that went after the judges, broke down the doors into their houses and so on and tried to get them. EFCC has that challenge. But for God's sake, for somebody at the level of the Senate President, that is a very, very high office. You don't ethnicize it. You don't make it a divisional thing. You should rise above ethnicity and partisanship. At some level, you are not Igbo. You are not from Enugu. You are not from Imo. You are not from Lagos. You are not from anywhere.
I think just reactions from Nigeria.
Wait, no.
See, that discourse is there already.
Yeah.
That this thing is happening because this guy is from a particular place.
He actually said he spoke with him.
Why? Is it that Buhari has shares in GTB? Where Buhari doesn't have shares in GTB, for God's sake. Yeah, Southwest may have voted for Buhari now, but that has nothing. It has absolutely nothing to do with what we are talking about. But by and large, I quite agree with my friend and my brother that the EFCC messed up big time on this one in terms of the way they went after the guy. Because you see, what we should be discussing, actually, this should be linked with the NSAS campaign that people started a while back. You see, we need to follow due process in the way we do things.
All right, we'll talk about following due process in the way we do things when we return from the break. Stay with us.
My name is Abdullahi Umar Ganouji, the governor of Kano State. I do watch journalists hang out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
You're still watching Journalist Hangout, and before we went on break, Wale, we were talking about due process in doing things, especially looking at this case now.
Law enforcement in Nigeria is a very big problem now, and I think we should cast our mind back to the era of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He may not be a perfect human being, but I'll talk about one specific case, the assassination of Alhaji Kudirat Abiola and some other people. Sergeant Rogers and some others were principally responsible then. But if you cast your mind back, long before Rogers was introduced to the public by the police, by the SSS, by military intelligence, information was already there in the media. The law enforcement agencies leaked this information to the media, preparing the media's mind. Like what the EFCC did yesterday. They might have one or two things, did they a few days back. They might have one or two things against the innocent guy. There's nothing wrong. Use your PR guy now. It doesn't have to talk officially. And that's why I feel that a lot of them, maybe they just get these jobs, no PR training or whatever like that. Or maybe it's their leadership there who don't believe in public relations. There are some things you push out even without your hands being seen. We call it cat's paw. You push out the information and people will not know that the information is coming from you. I remember whether it was Tell or the news then, that had a portrait of Sergeant Rogers. That was long before anybody knew anything about him. They push out the portrait. So you wonder, where did they get the guy's photograph? This person that is supposed to be in hiding or in government custody or whatever. And it was out there. But correct, it was the government that leaked the information. Some of these high-profile personalities that they arrest, and eventually those ones who deploy superior public relations, this and against them, and they will look innocent, like innocent. What they should have done is to use proper PR tactics to mess them up in the first place. Which is what I mentioned about GT Bank, that they have failed in their public relations duty. The thing is to push out something. The case has been on for God knows how many years.
It's been on for years.
Why is it that? Why is it that? Is it just now we're hearing about all of these things? Why is it you've not pushed it to the public?
Maybe another knock on EFCC is the fact that they are out with two different versions of why he was arrested.
They don't have a proper PR
before you go out to really understanding the fact that this person is just not, should I use the word, an ordinary Nigerian. People will definitely react because this is somebody who is doing, business greatly, and people have been commending the fact that this is one Nigeria that is trying to help redefine the industrial angle.
So I think there's something I should chip in here. I just remember now that Wale spoke about it. For God's sake, Innoson to us in Nigeria is a global brand.
Yeah, he recently
EFCC to just come and pick that kind of, sending wrong signals
to investors.
Even investors who want to come to Nigeria. Sorry, I just felt
I think for now, EFCC should really try to caution themselves when they're going after anybody. Try to get your facts so that at least when you're out to get anybody, people will be commending you, not knocking you. You're out with two different versions, that he jumped administrative, whatever, you're talking about fraud, and people are like, so what exactly did you arrest him for? Like you said, well, maybe the public relations department of EFCC will really have to come out to explain why they really went after this man.
All out for him.
And, you know, he's been granted bail, quite right, but that does not stop the fact that they may still ask him to come explain himself. But
of course,
we
because
really don't want,
yesterday,
like he said, everybody, whatever happens in Nigeria, you know, everybody all over the world will be concerned. Nigeria, it's one big economy. And this is somebody who is trying to help, you know, redefine our economy.
Yes.
And we're talking about investors, people wanting to come in to, you know, do maybe not exactly what he's doing, at least bring in 1 or 2 businesses. And they're like, oh, so if this person, who is even a Nigerian, can be this rubbish, I'm not saying he's innocent. Well, his name is innocent, you know, but I mean, it will send, you know, proven guilty, yes. But it will send a wrong signal to, investors within Nigeria and outside.
And outside
to
Nigeria,
say, oh,
because
no matter who you are, you can't be rubbish if you, you know.
I come back to you, Wale, quickly before we move on to the next topic. Now, like I was saying earlier, there are 2 sides to the story. And possibly that's why people... Okay, quickly, we have Patrick on the line, calling from Atlanta. Patrick, are you there?
Yes, please, thank you.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you so much for the program that is running currently. You know, when I hear your, analysts talking about this issue, I am taken aback the way they react to some of these issues. Like, Adedayo, is he the guy in blue? Blue Castan, talking about the matter as being ethnicized. It's not a matter of ethnicity. We are talking about civility. We are talking about the approach of law enforcement, in matters that are supposed to be civil. So if you are talking as an analyst and you say somebody like Innoson Motors, that has done a lot to launder Nigeria's image outside the country in the area of employment and, of course, industrialization, you refer to him as a guy. I begin to wonder how dare you say he's a guy? Somebody like Innoson, you should not address him as a guy. It's somebody that is supposed to be addressed with decorum. So please, I want you to, you also, you were talking about Igbo people saying they should withdraw their, deposits, from the GT Bank.
Patrick, thank you for your contribution, but I think you got some things wrong. You'd like to clear that, Wale?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think he actually didn't get it because he was, saying the opposite of what Dayo said, because Dayo was saying that we should not even read ethnicity into,
it should not be
those
ethnicized
issues.
at all.
That was what he was talking about.
I'm bringing ethnicity into it.
And that should not be
Absolutely nothing
to do about
with
it.
that.
Yeah.
Then secondly, because as I mentioned, I interjected when she was talking, that this is a guy, and I repeat, because, for God's sake, he doesn't know my age. So when you're talking about somebody, because I look so, I think I can still toast a lot of people. But this is a guy that has done so well for Nigeria in terms of not just image, in terms of boosting local production, providing employment, providing employment here. Even if he's guilty, for God's sake, there should be an approach. There should be a way to packaging his arrest. That's some people on their own, because of the background work you will have done at your PR level, strategically and so on. It is he himself. You don't even need to invite him. Oh boy, he gets something, we get this one, we get... There are some things you will do that. He himself will even walk to your office.
We have another caller on the line, Charles from Cameroon. Charles, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Go ahead with a contribution.
Yeah, please. My name is Charles. I want to make a little contribution to the discussion today.
Okay.
Yes. From the point is that what I discovered is that we need to treat the first thing first. Action beliefs action. Action, the first action, the first to face. Is it right? We are not yet in the studio to check whether Innoson is guilty or not guilty. The point is that is it right for anybody to go and arrest somebody in this manner? If it is not right, then the condemnation phase must go to those that first cause the confusion and uproar on the air everywhere. Because when I started following your program, I came to speak on the mention about this, that anybody can be angry. I am staying in my house and come and fumble everything and take somebody away. I'll be angry because you arrested my brother.
All right, thank you, Charles, for your contribution. Wale, you need to maybe throw more light on this issue, what you talked about earlier in terms of the way the EFCC went about it, not following due process. And all of that.
Like I said, you know, the common thing in Nigeria is that if you see two people fighting, you take them to a police station, lock them up. And we are saying that it's not every instance that you see a suspect and the next thing is to go and detain him. That the processes of investigating a crime should not necessarily involve taking somebody, you know, at gunpoint and then locking him behind the bars. That when you continue to do this, you are going to cause, you know, impugn the character of this person who is a suspect, who is here to be proven guilty by the law court. Mm-hmm. And I think what has happened in this case of Innoson is a reflection of the weaknesses of our judicial institutions. This case has been on for several years. It's a consequence of delayed justice. If the court had been able to deal decisively with this issue within a period of 2 years, and I mean, maybe GTB will have been apportioned some blame or innocent. But when you have a case that drags on for several years and it appears as if there's no end in sight, then, you know, all sort of, you know, things will begin to fish up. And that's exactly what you are saying now. I expect the FCC to, if you want to go arrest somebody, get, you know, a warrant of arrest. And then, you can, with that warrant of arrest, you can go to court and you know, begin to prosecute your case. But this idea of going to people's homes with 10 armed men and all that, I mean, it's really not good. And it's not just because Innoson is involved. There should be a standard practice by the FCC, even for the most commonest human being, you know, in this country.
Exactly. All right, we'll quickly take another break and come back to talk more on the Senate telling the federal government not to sell national monuments. Stay with us.
My name is Abdullah Umar Ganouchi, the governor of Kano State. I do watch journalists hang out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
You're watching Journalists Hangout. Quickly, before we move on to the next topic, your final takes on this. I'll start with you, Wally.
Well, the FCC must have learned another lesson again, that it is not an extrajudicial organization. It must operate within the law. And we have also learned a lesson as Nigerians that nobody is above the law. Anybody could be questioned when it comes to, you know, infringement on due process.
All right.
Yeah, I want to echo Wale when he said that the court should deal decisively, you know, concerning the case. It's dragging so long. It's a civil matter, so let's see what comes out from the court. The court should actually, you know, hasten up so that everybody will know where they stand.
For me, I'm a student of public relations. I feel sincerely that Guaranty Trust Bank failed this public relations test. It should have come out long before this on the details of this matter. And even immediately this book came out, proactively, it should have come out with its own side and be firing on all cylinders, not attacking the person, but the facts. Don't detail the fact as it is. Even if you are not bringing it out directly by yourself, do it through third parties, through other people, so that there will be more than enough information for people out there. Because people are only talking about the civil matter, the one in court. Nobody's talking about the criminal matter that did not just start with EFCC. EFCC, everybody's talking about, but there's other matters that have been with the police for years that they've been, I mean, looking into. How many people know about that?
Also culpable.
Yeah,
exactly.
They were culpable.
So,
of course, they also,
I mean,
you know.
To me, GTB failed
the
100%.
company too.
At the PR level, it's 100% failure for me, for GT Bank.
All right, now, let's move on. Funding the 2018 budget has inspired the federal government to think outside the box. But what appears to be a product of its outside-the-box thinking seems to be insensitive to the identity and history of the people. The federal government is considering the option of selling off the National Arts Theatre and the Tafawa Balewa Square, both located in Lagos State, to raise funds But the Senate thinks it is not a smart idea. It suggests that instead of selling off these assets, the government should develop them to attract profit-making tourist centers. This piece of advice sounds great, but not entirely true in its climb. Governments across the three tiers have a terrible track record of running organizations unprofitably. Which way to go here?
No, I think those talking about this, especially the Senate, they don't know what they are talking about. Because presently the National Theatre is owned by the federal government, right? What is the state of the National Theatre now? Do they have money with which to develop the place? Do they have ideas even how to run the place properly? In Tafawa Balewa Square, the same thing. And for God's sake, these things are in Lagos. Lagos are, normally, to me, I don't even feel that the Lagos State government should buy it from them. They should just be taken over by Lagos State. It's situated on Lagos. It's situated on Lagos land. The whole thing is here, and Lagos will put it to better use. If I have something that I know that my younger brother or my elder brother will put to better use, why should I be charging my elder brother to put it to better use? Lagos is not outside of Nigeria. It's not private sector. It's the government. And the mistake we continue to make, and I think that applies to everybody. You are talking about federal government as if it is distinct from the other states. For God's sake, Lagos State is part of federal government. Without Lagos, there is no federal government. Without Ogun, without Akwa Ibom, there is nothing called federal government. So the Senate is saying this because Lagos wants to take over those places. They are talking bunkum. They don't know what they are talking about. Lagos will put those places to better use.
I mean, Wale is trying to be very, hard, but I actually, toe his line. Why now? National Theatre has been there for years. I don't know when last you visit that place. Some few years back, it used to be an arena you want to go to, especially to watch film, even just walking around the area. The fact that, this is a national monument. But years gone by, that place is dilapidated. You drive around there, the smell is a shadow of itself. And this is he's saying something about the Lagos State wanting, to take over. I don't think that we should even be begging Lagos State to take it over. Because if you look at what Lagos State is trying to do, they're trying to organize. They're looking at Lagos not just a business, entity, but also a tourist attraction center. We're not going to say that National Theatre is not going to be called National Theatre anymore. It's still going to be our historical monument. Why not wait on, let's ask Lagos State to come out with a blueprint on what they can do with, or whoever wants to buy into it. What exactly do they want to do with it? If it's something that would be beneficial to the government, to Nigeria, why not, we accept it? National Theatre 1, then the Tafawa Balewa, the square. Have you been there recently? Did you see what the Lagos State government did with the transport station? I went there some time ago, maybe like 2 months, and I was like, is this, a Tafawa Balewa? Because somebody said, it reminds me of London, it reminds me of the train station, and you feel proud that, there's something that can remind you that we are actually developing. So why would anybody be angry that we have monuments that can be put to good use, and because, we want to see it as a federal property, that we should just let it be? So
if I may get it correctly, the Lagos State government should just take it over without handing
not take it over, but they should come out. They're interested in it, quite all right. They should come out to say this is what they can do with it. And if it's going to be very beneficial to us, I'm using the word very, why not? And like you said, Lagos State is not just a state. I get tired of we looking at the federal government as if, other states, we all are not, part of this federal government. It's so disgusting when we keep saying, don't do this because the federal government. And they just come out to say, we can't run these entities. We need money. So if we sell, we can use the money, we can plow this money into
send it to Lagos. Will they hand it over to Lagos State? I need to bring you in now.
Okay.
Well, I think when we're talking about the National Theatre, we really need to understand what was the view, what was the mission you know, of those who established that great institution.
Okay.
We started with Gowon in 1975.
Yeah.
And it was completed in 1976. The idea was to have, it was fashioned after the, you know, the Palace of Art and Sports in Bulgaria. So they invited Bulgarian architects to come and build it. It was supposed to be a center for the collection of the most modern Nigerian arts.
Yeah, and that's why it's first okay, 77.
And then they had 5,000 capacity hall.
Yeah.
And I think it's the biggest in this country.
Yeah.
I mean, then it has 3, you know, it has, you know, convertible halls. Then apart from that, you can, it was equipped with equipment that can translate simultaneously 8 languages, foreign languages, Arabic and all that. So this thing is a monument, it's a national monument built in the image of Buckingham Palace. When people go to London, they want to see Buckingham Palace. It's a kind of heritage of a people. There are some countries or states that when you go, for instance, when you go to St. Petersburg, in 2016 alone, 6.9 people visited to see Alexandria Theatre, Hermitage Theatre, built several years ago. So building a country is not just about cash. It's also about the heritage and values of a country. So these monuments are not just meant for profit, that you just sell it off and then we get the money and then, you know, a lot of things must be retained to show the history of a country, especially when you're talking about art and culture.
But when it's not being maintained.
Exactly.
I just want that.
But when it's not being maintained by the same government.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
If it's not if it is not being maintained.
It's not that it's not well maintained.
Yeah. Then government has lost its, you know, in terms of
essence.
The essence.
And that is why people are saying.
But then now selling it to the private sector is not the issue. I align myself with that if the state that hosts this institution has the capacity to manage the theater, like Lagos State government. And why are we talking about Lagos State government? You have a city of about 18 million people. And in fact, Lagos commands maybe the biggest number of tourists, you know, all over, all over, in fact, in West Africa. So there's no reason why this theater should not be handed over. It's not just about national theater. A lot of national monuments in the east, in the country, the government is a garrison state. Power is over concentrated. They want to manage everything in your village. And
the government should, well with any.
You know, should take a lot of responsibilities from its shoulders and let the states manage some of these institutions. So I align with myself with those who think that Lagos State government.
But you are not in line with private.
No, they had wanted to sell it to a Dubai group. They wanted to turn the place to a shopping mall, $40 million. That was in 2014 or thereabout. No. And even I think Obasanjo started it in 2006. So the debate has been on, but I don't think the issue is to sell it. Art and culture is a major source of revenue for any serious country. So, and for Lagos State, look at, they have done the Fela statue. You know, they are talking about the film on Awu and all that, and even independence. So I think the rational thing to do is to allow the Lagos State government to take over that institution
and see what they can do with it.
You know, and see what they can do with it.
Quickly, we have a caller on the line. Bello, are you there?
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead with your contribution.
I just want to make a contribution on the proposal by the government to sell national assets like Babalewa School and National Theatre. I think we need to the idea that government can't run a business. Government can't successfully run private institutions or for-profit institutions. This notion needs to be challenged because government is the role model for society, should be the role model for private sector. I think it beggars belief. The reason to sell assets is because government can't make them run properly. It shouldn't arise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony, for your contribution. You're saying government should be the role model for
but they're not. But they're not. They should. It's right. That should be what they should be doing. But they are not doing it. It's because of the failure. That's why there's a call. If government have been running these entities, running all these monuments well, nobody will be calling for their sale. It's because they are not doing well. Like you said, I said earlier, you need to visit these places and see what has become of them. Some time ago, it's fun to go to watch cinema at the National Theatre. You're driving around and you're telling, I mean, people, you are even acting as a tourist, telling friends that, oh, that's what you're seeing, it's Gowon's, cap, But how many people will want to just wake up one day, pick up your car and say you want to drive to the National Theatre just because you want to see?
All right. Okay. Another issue here, Wally, that bogs my mind is the fact that we have gotten to the point we need to sell this off to raise funds.
That's what I was talking about
for
earlier.
Our budget.
That's what I was talking about earlier. They don't
and
even
yet
know what
we
they're
don't
talking
even
about.
want to cut down on spending.
So,
what really are we trying to achieve?
Exactly. See, in the specific instances of these two national monuments, the Fabalewa Square and the National Theatre, I'll align myself with the thoughts of my colleague Wale Adeoye that the thing should go to Lagos State. Not just because Lagos State is also part of Nigeria. You see, the tragedy we have in this country is that we hardly, just like the PR thing we're talking about, GT Bank, we hardly think much about culture. We talk about it, but we don't know the value attached to these things. We don't know the kind of message things like this send to our young people. We don't know the kind of message it sends to people outside. We don't know the kind of things it does to us as individuals in terms of building not just our passion, not just who we are and things like that. You see, in giving it to Lagos, for whatever amount they want to sell it for, there should be some things on paper. So that the original intents, the original ideas are not tampered with.
Yeah.
Those ones are not changed at all. And I have no doubt in my mind that the current administration in Lagos, not just this one, but right from 1999 till date, they have their heads on their shoulders, like we all say, like we always say in Mushin, that in terms of things like this. Because when you are talking about culture, you are giving yourself self-confidence. You are boosting your inner mind. If you are not grounded culturally, for God's sake, you be like leaves or paper when the wind blows. But if you are not grounded culturally, you cannot win any war. If you are not grounded culturally, you cannot face the opponent, people from other places. Your culture has to be proper in you. That is you. That is who you are. That is where you are coming from. Once you have that, and these are the things that will help us to achieve those. As a primary school student at Barcelona in those days, it's 5 kobo. I take bus from Indioro to TBS now. Even before you go to school, you just walk around. You look at those horses, the eagles, and so on. You go to where Muritala's Benz was parked. This old museum. You walk around,
We need to
there's something that comes into you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Without your culture, you are gone. You are history.
Now he's going very passionate about this, but we need to take this break. You're still watching the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. Quickly, before we move to the next topic, so how do we generate, from the feeling I get from you gentlemen, we shouldn't sell this. We should hand it to the state where these monuments are. So how does the federal government generate money to fund its budget?
Well, I get the money from Lagos now. Negotiate with Lagos. How much are you paying us for this? Either the TBS or both of them. TBS, National Charter, whatever. Lagos will pay them. I don't think Lagos will have any problem paying them. I don't think. And Lagos is going to make more than enough money.
Yeah, to recoup. Yeah.
It's
a bit. Yeah, I totally agree with. I totally agree with it.
Lagos will make money from it.
All right, Wally, are you also in agreement?
Oh, sure.
All right, then we can move on. Today, it is much more difficult to understand who herdsmen are in Nigeria. They have dual personalities. They come as marauding cattle rearers, and behind their skinny smiles is a heart to kill. Almost every state in Nigeria has felt the searing hit of their terror. Hundreds have been killed, and properties running into millions have been destroyed. As the government seeks to protect the fragile peace in Adamawa State, reports say herdsmen fired at the Alpha Jet and the EC-135 helicopter deployed by the military in the troubled communities of Numan and Demsa council areas of the state. It says the attack was an attempt to resist the intervention by the Nigerian Air Force. Herdsmen in Nigeria, killer machines, in the making. How daring is this attempt?
I would say yes. I'll say yes. They're actually turning into killer machines. And I'm happy. When I read this story, I was really happy that it's getting to when government will start reacting. This has been coming, has been going on for long, for years. And people have been saying government have not been decisive. When I say government, federal government had not been decisive about the issue of these herdsmen. And people were like, oh, is it because they are from a particular ethnic group? And I said, it's not about ethnicity. It's about people who ordinarily we see as herdsmen, people who take their cattle round, suddenly become killers. And they've been doing this, in the east, in the southwest, they've been doing it, and we'll cry, oh, this is wrong, we'll condemn, and that will be the end of it until they strike again. So maybe now that it's going up, in quotes, to the real, let me use the word, to attacking the security personnel themselves. Maybe now government will be decisive about what to do with the people who claims to be herdsmen, because I just can't imagine if what you are asked to do is to just feed your cattle, take them round, and you suddenly carry ammunitions. For you to attack an aircraft, it's not just using the Dane gunner. You know what it is. And I just can't imagine what audacity that they have. So there's actually more to the herdsmen issue that meets the other area.
But if I get you clearly, are we saying that we value more some lives than the other? Because lives have been lost.
Lives have been lost, and people are
not getting reaction. So will this bring about government's reaction?
Let's see what will happen, with this.
Wale.
It's a very complex issue, and it's a persistent problem. In 2017, this year alone, over 2,000 people have been displaced.
Yeah.
And I think for over a period between 2006 and 2015, close to 7,447 people have been killed. Almost 8,000 people, either through Boko Haram action or herdsmen. Well, the fact of the matter is that the herdsmen are becoming more daring. The Alpha Jet and the EC-135, they were not on combat mission.
No.
So they were attacked. Now, you see, the government really need to sit down, because they are being emboldened every day. They are becoming more daring.
Nobody has been called
and if there are no sanctions, they are going to become another terrible menace for this country. The terrorist global index on terrorism actually rated them as the fourth deadliest terrorist organization.
Yeah.
Now there are so many things involved. The first one is the fact that they are not only the threat to Nigeria, they don't have an organized leadership. They operate more or less like guerrilla warfare. So which leadership do you want to deal with? And apart from that, the access to illicit weapons. According to the UN, there are millions of illicit weapons in West Africa, over 500 million.
Flying around.
70% of them are in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So if you don't do something on time, it's going to be a very big problem. And I don't think we should just be talking about herdsmen and herdsmen. We have to look at the various issues that are connected. First is climate change. Second is the crisis in the Maghreb region, in Mali, in Libya, where those nations have been destabilized, so people have easy access to weapons. The other issue is food security. And then, particularly what is going on in Adamawa is very significant, because if you look at the history of the Bachama people, the Chamba, they have had long history of conflict, with the Fulani, dating back to 18th century, and they were never conquered. In fact, it's a small group of small group that has always been resisting, Fulani attack. So it's not going to go away so easily, because when they are becoming hopeless, the communities are also trying to arm themselves to defend themselves in the absence of government
in, because we need
intervention.
To wrap up as soon as possible. How can we, check this issue such that we wouldn't have as much damage as we have seen so far? It won't go away so easily, but then we need to check it.
But I think the simplest thing is for the government to be alive to its responsibilities. While I acknowledge what my colleague has said, I believe all those ones are just long to wrenchy. The primary thing we need to do about the herdsmen issue in Nigeria is to go the way of modern farming. For God's sake, no roaming of
ranching.
animals. You want to rear cattle? Go buy land somewhere. Keep them there. End of story.
But there was a bill.
It's not what this is.
No, it's not. See, most of the state governors, I don't know how to describe them because I don't want to use foul language or something like that.
Yes,
I
please.
think that's the honest truth. The thing is that we want to rear cattle. For God, go get land somewhere. Is that how you lease, you rent, or you buy?
All right.
And put your cattle there. Give them fooders to eat. Buy whatever they want to eat for them. Don't keep on running cattle all over the place. That's the modern way to go. Okay. If you want to say you are in the 22nd or 23rd century or 21st century, for God's sake, that's the way to do about animal husbandry. Not all these ones you are doing.
If it's that easy, the government will have done it.
No.
It is very easy.
Easy.
Listen, Wale, it is very easy.
Let me tell you.
We have hunters in my hometown.
I
can't carry gun now and go to Plateau or Sokoto and say I'm going to hunt animals.
Yeah.
It's not done. What do you mean it's not easy?
People who carry guns all the way from Chad, from Mali.
That what? Once they know your laws.
It's not just about cattle. It's also about control of fight over land resources. It is. It is about fight over.
There's so many issues.
Yeah, so many issues involved. Look at what is going on in Plateau State. People are contesting ownership of land.
It's not just about,
there was no herdsmen involved. No, listen. You're talking about fighting over land.
But where
once you
for over
place the
100
law
years
there, that look, if you want to do cattle rearing, for God's sake, you have to do it the modern way. End of story.
Who will make the law in Kaduna, for instance?
Thank you, gentlemen.
The House of Assembly.
This argument
and
can
even the House
continue.
of Assembly in Kaduna.
We have run out of time, gentlemen. This argument can continue, but I must thank you for coming on the show today. Well, that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. Watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danik Boy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.